These medieval-looking banners are flying in one of the few kingdoms left in the French Republic. It's the Kingdom of Wallis, part of the French overseas territory of Wallis and Futuna, which lies in the central Pacific, north of Fiji and west of Samoa. The first European to find the island was an Englishman, Captain Wallis, but the French were close behind.
The islanders decided to ask France for their help in protection. So it became a protectorate of the colony of New Caledonia. So in 1959 they decided to have a ballot. This is to decide whether Wallis and Futuna would continue to be a part of the colony of New Caledonia or become an overseas territory of France.
Wallis and Futuna is the third of the French Pacific possessions, less well known than New Caledonia or French Polynesia. But while many countries in the Pacific celebrate their anniversaries of independence, here on Wallis and Futuna they're celebrating 50 years of having been an overseas territory of France. Wallis and Futuna has a population of only 15,000. A decent percentage of whom turned out for this ceremony, emphasising its close ties with the Republic. The French Minister for Overseas Territories, Marie-Luce Ponchard, was the main guest of honour.
Liberté, égalité, fraternité.
It was interesting from an outsider's point of view to observe the comments she made about unity here in Wallis and Futuna. But clearly, there is a sense amongst the French that the territories really matter and that they are a part of France, and that we might be on the other side of the planet to Paris, but as we stand here today, we're on French soil, and there's a lot that implies in terms of the rights of citizenship. But I thought it was also interesting to observe the place that the Wallisian veterans had within this ceremony. Wallisians have served in the French military over many decades and recently, and they were given all the reverence and honour of veterans that we would expect to see in our own society.
After the flag raising, the ceremonial ground was transformed into a customary feasting site, with warrior guards and that signature sign of wealth in the Pacific, pigs. And then the invited guests were festooned with decorations, and all dressed up for an audience with the King of Wallis. The highly ritualised carver ceremony lasted several hours.
The French have allowed them to keep a lot of their customs and in the way that they would like to keep them. For instance, there's only three important things for Wallis and Futunians. That is the church, their king, and their country ways.
Look, they see themselves as absolutely part of France. I think they are thrilled with the idea that France is here. There's obviously a lot of services that they get as a part of that. But as we listened to the Marseillaise being sung this morning, it was hard to imagine it being sung with more gusto in the heart of Paris than it was being sung here in Wallis.
The French government spent about $140 million supporting Wallis and Futuna last year. That's about $10,000 Australian per head of population.
It's not money that they consider to be aid, it's money that they consider to be a consequence of French citizens living here and therefore being able to enjoy all the rights that a French citizen would if they were living in Normandy or Paris. And so you do see that quite a high level, a high standard of living exists here. Here in Wallis and Futuna there's no such thing as a movement for independence. In fact, this is quite the opposite. We're celebrating today a kind of a joining between Wallis and Futuna and France. But you look at the way in which they're handling the question of autonomy and independence in New Caledonia and to a degree in French Polynesia, and they're dealing with the whole spectrum of this issue, and it's fascinating to watch.
More Wallisians have migrated to New Caledonia than live here at home on Wallis Island. But if New Caledonia does decide to seek greater independence from France, they would certainly be welcome back here, where even the school children are proud to be French.